Hello and welcome back to another video. Today here again on Forza Horizon 5 to take a very first look at the most recent addition of Event Lab props that have been added as part of Update 33. For this I have of course come across to Event Lab Island to give us a bit more freedom of building. So if we go straight into the blueprint builder, let's see if we can find these new pieces that are of course in the road and racing tab. So essentially we've been given an entire road network of pieces of road with markings and some pieces without markings, as well as some inclines and some pieces like this bit here that joins the sort of larger motorways to this kind of style of road network. But one of the difficult things in Event Lab was always making smooth inclines and banks and things, so this is going to make it so much easier, particularly for those who are less experienced with Event Lab. These are the unmarked versions. So for example, if we were to place that, we can then place an roundabout. All of these of course snap together, which is always great to see as well. Let's just quickly find a marked version as well so that I can show you what this is like. So yeah, you can already see how quickly you can start to make something reasonably good, a reasonably good road surface. So yeah, we can then go and snap that to the widened bit of road and use these pieces that we already had. But yeah, I think these are possibly the most useful pieces we've had added to Event Lab so far. So then, I've quickly placed out all 46 new pieces. We have a straight, several different radiuses of corner, some junctions, crossroads, roundabouts, this widening piece to open up to a sort of motorway section. Then we start getting the really interesting different inclines, each concave and convex versions of each style of those. So yeah, this is going to be super useful. We then have some that are slightly banked and cambered, but then go to flat at this end. We have corner pieces as well doing that. So some of these particularly, because banked corners and turns are really difficult to get nice and smooth so that cars aren't launched to the moon. So yeah, this is going to be super useful. Remember, all of these snap together as well. So that's all the ones with road markings, all 23 of those. Then we also have 23 of the same pieces here, but without the central lines and the edges. Now, when this update was first announced, I did already say this, but it would be kind of nice to have some that didn't have these central stripes, but did have the edge lines. They kind of made out that these are better for tracks, but tracks really need these lines, just not these lines. So it would be nice to see at some point if they could add some that have the edge lines, but not the central markings. But yeah, these are what the unmarked versions look like. They actually look more worn to me, but I don't know if that's just because they don't have markings. So that's all of those, and these are of course in addition to the wider racetrack pieces we already had. So it's actually really good to see that this is integrated into the same road network system, because it would have been, well, the sort of thing that they might do is not think to make it so that they're compatible with each other. So yeah, it is really useful that they've added these little pieces so that we can use, well, all of the road and race sections from that tab. So I began working on a new Event Lab creation, making use primarily of these new road pieces, starting with a simple start-finish straight that led into an incline. Initially this took a little bit of figuring out, as there isn't a simple banked corner, more sort of a corner with an incline towards the sky, and some of the cambered and incline pieces only fit together in certain configurations, some pieces only really pairing with one other piece. After this I got a bit carried away with some switchback road sections, which I suddenly thought looked somewhat like the Monaco hairpins, so I rebuilt them going down towards the sea off the side of Event Lab Island, which I will eventually turn into a kind of coastal city inspired by Monaco. Once I got into the flow of building with the road pieces though, it was all fairly quick. After just over 45 minutes, I had quite a large road layout kind of planned out for the circuit. However, when I got to the end, I ran into a problem that I kind of foresaw I might have. The route wouldn't quite link up completely as a nice circuit, a problem you'll know if you've ever built a custom layout with some Scalextric track. After much fiddling about, I still couldn't get it perfect, so I sort of bodged it together with a slightly harsh ramp angle, but I was kind of happy enough with it, although it was slightly irritating not to be able to link it all up nicely. So that was the easy part of the build, with the nice smooth new road pieces that clip together. But to turn it from a roller coastery looking assortment of roads into a polished route that you can't kind of fall off the side of was going to prove difficult, or more difficult at least. This involved using some dirt and grass platforms that don't have nice smooth inclines on sort of either side of the track, which I've never really tried to do before, so this is my first kind of attempt at making scenery along the side of a route with inclines. So as cool and incredibly helpful as the road pieces are, you still have to build the rest of the scenery with completely flat pieces, giving quite a geometric look to everything, however hard you try to make it look kind of smoother. Although the road pieces only took 45 minutes then, after about 2.5 more hours, I had only just scratched the surface of building the surrounding scenery, managing most of a sort of hill section and a tunnel that went beneath, and starting on that coastal city. It has the beginnings of something kind of cool, I think, so hopefully I will turn it into a route, but yeah, hopefully this gives you enough of an idea to imagine how it might eventually end up if I finish it, which I probably will eventually. But yeah, most of the building of a route on Event Lab Island is no easier to how it was before, but the roads kind of make that initial layout stage of the build quite a lot faster. And that is going to do it for a very first look at the new road pieces added to Event Lab as part of Update 33 here on Forza Horizon 5. The pieces themselves make it really useful to make a nice smooth road course, or kind of track without the road markings if you prefer. So it makes that element of the build a lot easier, and arguably having the road surface smooth is the most important bit. It doesn't, however, help with the rest of the build. That's still going to take quite a lot of time if you want to do it nicely. As ever though, do let me know your thoughts on these new pieces that have been added to Event Lab. But for today's video, that is going to be all. So thank you very much for watching, and I will be back with the next one very soon.